රිවයින්ඩ් කරන්න පුළුවන් නිසා මුකුත් මගේ වෙන්නේ.
BOTV TV බලන හොඳම විදිහ.
Making headlines on First at 9. Show of confidence. President Maithripala Sirisena reaffirms commitment to democracy and says pledges not to let a dictatorial rule arise. What's the mandate? The US intend to further pursue resolution on Sri Lanka questioned.
But we have to live with the consequences of that resolution.
Must tell the USA now since they have left the Human Rights Council, this Third 1 resolution should be made null and void.
If they left, you try to null and void this recommendation.
Sad end of a wild animal. A leopard clubbed to death by angry villagers after wildlife officials abandoned capture efforts. Bedding in. The group of 16 SLFP MPs to attend meeting of the joint opposition from next week. Sliding down the hill. US President Donald Trump makes a radical U-turn to stop separating children from illegal migrants. A very good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Katharina Chan. Now on to your top story tonight. Wild animals have been increasingly coming into contact with humans, with elephant-human conflict being a prominent topic of debate in society as well as on political platforms. The main cause of this unfortunate situation is habitat loss for animals as humans continue to encroach their space. Today we bring you an unfortunate news where a leopard was clubbed to death by angry villagers after wildlife officials abandoned their efforts to capture the animals owing to the unrest stirred by the very same villagers. The events which unfolded in the area of Ambalakulam in Kilinochchi left 10 villagers injured.
Locals in the area of Amalkulam in Kilinochchi informed wildlife officials that a leopard is seen near a school around 7 this morning. Wildlife officers arrived to capture the leopard at around 11 am with police officers attached to Kilinochchi police. According to the Derana correspondent, 4 wildlife officers were hospitalized after they were attacked by the leopard during the capturing efforts. Wildlife officials, however, decided to abandon the capturing efforts as the frustration of the villagers boiled over, hampering the operation. The villagers were upset with the officials for arriving late. The villagers then formed a mob to capture the leopard themselves. Moment the leopard was captured, its fate was sealed as the big cat was brutally clubbed to death and taken to the village in Abalkulam. Eventually, 10 people were hospitalized with injuries sustained during their capture efforts. The incident lit up social media with mud scorn directed towards those who saw the demise of the leopard.
The withdrawal of the United States from the United Nations Human Rights Council gave rise to both international and local dialogue, with the country sponsoring a resolution against Sri Lanka, which was also co-sponsored by the island nation. US Ambassador Atul Keshap moved to assure Sri Lanka the continued support of the United States in fulfilling the commitments outlined in the UNHRC resolution. Some, however, question as to how this could be achieved, highlighting the translucent criticism levelled at the UNHRC by US Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley.
On Tuesday, US Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley announced the Trump administration's decision to withdraw from the United Nations Human Rights Council, highlighting bias against US ally Israel and failure to hold human rights abusers accountable. Following the announcement, the US Embassy in Colombo issued a statement saying that the US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Atul Keshap, met with Sri Lankan officials to assure them continuous support in fulfilling commitments mentioned in the UNHRC resolution. Sri Lanka and the United States co-sponsored two resolutions at the UNHRC, 30/1 in 2015 and Resolution 34/1 in 2017. The United States said it continues to extend its support to Sri Lanka to fulfill these important commitments and obligations as articulated and reaffirmed in these resolutions. This move by the United States, however, led to some questioning its grounds, highlighting the fact that the US pulled out of the UNHRC, calling it a cesspool of bias which failed to hold human rights abusers accountable.
The US Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, he has said that Human Rights Council is a protector of human rights violators. And Nikki Haley, the UN ambassador to America, she has said this is a cesspool of politics. So now, Atul Keshap, the US ambassador here, he says that although they have left, they will continue to support the implementation of the recommendations in 30/1. So if it is a cesspool and if the United States have left, how can Atul Keshap tell us that they will support the implementation of 31? Do they want to push us more deep into that cesspool? We know that 30/1 resolution in which the recommendations have been implemented by this government. It has been first proposed by the United States of America in 2015. Because of that only that we are compelled to open this OMP, Office of Missing Personnel Act, and we were compelled to sign the Enforced Disappearance International Convention, and now we are forced to amend our constitution. All this is because of these recommendations of the 30/1 resolution, and it has been proposed by United States of America. So Human Rights Council must tell the USA now since they have left the Human Rights Council, this 30/1 resolution should be made null and void.
Now what is USA saying? This institution, Human Rights Council, playing politics. Human Rights Council is biased. Therefore, we should not implement this recommendation because they have already left. Now Sri Lanka, you must have a backbone. The government must have a backbone. If they left, you try to null and void this recommendation. Come up with a new resolution. Sri Lanka was too hurried to set up these commissions of disappearances office. Why we have set up this? To please the UN Human Rights Council.
Throughout the period of office of the Mahinda Rajapaksa government, we had a very clear view on this matter. Our consistent position was that the armed forces of Sri Lanka had not in any way violated international law. We pointed out at every juncture that the Human Rights Council was a flawed process. It was a witch hunt. It was a political process. There was total bias. It had nothing to do with morality or ethics or human rights. It was a witch hunt that had been launched against this country by interested parties. The resolution is there, it has been passed. The Sri Lanka government adopted that resolution as our own. The country, the most powerful country in the world that brought that resolution, has condemned outright the Human Rights Council, but we have to live with the consequences of that resolution. Now that is a state of things for which the present government has to answer to the people of our country and in particular to the armed forces. Why did this happen? It happened as a payoff.
President Maithripala Sirisena is adamant that he will not allow a dictatorial government to be established in Sri Lanka. The president made his determination clear while addressing an event held in Kurunegala today.
The 81st model village, Viherapura, constructed under the program Model Villages for Kurunegala district, was vested on the public under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena today.
The citizens of the country only wanted democracy to be established through the changes they achieved on the 8th of January in 2015. Democracy has been strengthened twofold. You know how much people misuse this hard-earned democracy and freedom. That's why people keep saying this government and I aren't strong enough. Buddhist clergy has said that the country should have a dictatorial government. As a Buddhist, I respect the clergy, but forgive me for disagreeing with you over this. They have used the strengthened democracy, freedom, human rights and media freedom to strike us. There are intelligent and educated people in this country who respect democracy. There are politicians who even protect democracy. With their support, I assure you that I won't let the country to be taken over by dictators and military governments.
Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Partly Champika Ranawaka, highlights the desperate need for an integrated transport network. He emphasizes that it should be efficient and enable seamless interchange from one mode of transport to another. The minister was addressing the inaugural meeting organized towards establishing a multimodal transport hub in Peta today.
The official launch of the feasibility study into the Peta multimodal transport hub was held under the patronage of Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Partly Champika Ranawaka, this morning. The feasibility study to enhance transport infrastructure in Peta is funded by France.
To enhance transport infrastructure in a central location of Peta, and at present there is no connectivity of passenger transport systems, and passengers travel by one system cannot change to another system without undergoing severe hardships. Further, transform the landscape of Peta and port area is necessary due to the area around Peta is rapidly transforming into a financial and business complex and mix of variety of activities as proposed in Bear Lake Development Plan and Ocean City, which is planned to complete by 2035. As such, the proposed multimodal transport hub will be iconic development in the CBD here in the capital of Colombo. We have already experienced that a place of increase in higher volume of traffic and multimodal of traffic and more social, economic and environment activities creating many environmental, social and cultural issues. The vision of our ministry is to promote the integration of land use and transportation in CBD in order to create and transform the area as a vibrant, attractive, world-class, brand-new city center for all. Therefore, we desperately need an integrated transport network and multimodal hub with smart technologies in CBD, with efficient, seamless interchange from one mode of transport to other, which can serve as the gateway to the city.
Minister of Science, Technology, Research, Skills Development and Vocational Training, Dr. Sarath Amunugama, today acknowledged that there are issues with regards to product accreditation. He said that proper certification is not being given for countries' primary products such as tea and rubber. Addressing an event held in Colombo today, the minister emphasized that these issues must be dealt with as Sri Lanka is targeting foreign trade as one of the major elements of its economic strategy.
A national seminar titled Delivering a Safer World was held today in Colombo in line with the World Accreditation Day, which fell on the 9th of this month. The seminar was organized by the Sri Lanka Accreditation Board in collaboration with the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Over 300 stakeholders consisting policymakers, government agencies, regulatory bodies, conformity assessment bodies, academia and consumers participated in the seminar today. Keynote speaker, Minister of Science, Technology, Research, Skills Development and Vocational Training, Dr. Sarath Amunugama, delved into government's plans to tackle issues in the sector.
Now I get so many complaints that many of our accreditation agencies are dilated. They take too much of time. So I have told our agencies, if our accreditation agencies come up with the idea that they don't have enough personnel, that they don't have time, then we must open our doors to universities and other people who have those capabilities to come and do the test. Now recently we had the problem of asbestos, for example. Now our ministry, we have a scientific team with a Russian team looking into this matter. We have problem of certification of tea. certification of rubber, certification of our primary products. Can't sweep this under the carpet. We have to make a national effort to see that if you have the seal certified by this agency, certified in Sri Lanka, then there will be no further doubt the competence or value of our seal. That is our target.
Getting back to one of our local news now, the SLFP's group of 16 who left the unity government recently have decided to participate in weekly meetings of the joint opposition from next week onwards. Meanwhile, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa declared open the Office of Freedom Law Chambers and Consultancy today.
The Office of Freedom Law Chambers and Consultancy, established by the SLFP's group of 16 who left the unity government, was declared open under the patronage of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa today. Meanwhile, it was revealed that the SLFP's group of 16 have decided to participate in the weekly meeting of the joint opposition from next week onwards.
We've decided to participate in the joint opposition meetings next week. This will allow both parties to represent the joint opposition and parliament. Certain joint opposition members criticise us when we say former President Mahinda Rajapaksa should be appointed Prime Minister under President Sirisena. They then say that Mahinda Rajapaksa should be appointed the next president. How can you do so when the law prevents it? We have, and he will accept our request only when the SLFP leaves the unity government. The public won't like a military rule in the country. The Anunaka Thera meant that people are so fed up with the UNP that they would even accept a military rule. The presidential candidate selected to oust the UNP must be able to garner favour from all demographics. The main rule here is that the presidential candidate must be selected by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Meanwhile, the national organizer of the SLFP, Minister Duminda Disanayaka, expressed views on the group of 16 today.
Is it the 23 of us who are indecisive when we say that we want President Maithripala Sirisena as our presidential candidate, or is it them who want a member of another party as their presidential candidate? Isn't it clear?
Let's now take a look at some of this emerging news across Sri Lanka.
The locals in the area of Hettipola in Hasalaka claim that the lives of a number of wild elephants are at risk as the animals are eating garbage dumped at a reserve in the area. The officials of the Wildlife Conservation Department successfully rescued a 1.5-month elephant calf which had fallen into a well in Nikaravava in Horopatana. A scan was done on a wild elephant who was shot on its left front leg in the area of Gomarankadavala in Trincomalee. In the meantime, the Campaign to Protect Sri Lanka filed a complaint with the Inspector General of Police, claiming there's a conspiracy to kill the 2 remaining wild elephants in the Singharaja Forest Reserve.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. Minister of Ports and Shipping Mahinda Samarasinghe says that Sri Lanka Ports Authority has seen a huge financial progress in the first quarter of this year in comparison with last year. The minister says that the total revenue of last year wraps up on 10 billion rupees, while the revenue in the first quarter of this year stands on 11 billion rupees. The minister held a media briefing today to elaborate on China's state-owned China Merchant Port Holdings paying the final tranche of $584 million in the Hambantota port investment to the SLPA yesterday.
If you take the Hambantota port on its own, even in 2017 it made 1,000 million profit. But the problem was that when we went to service the debt that was taken to construct the Hambantota port, it ate into our profits which were generated from the Colombo port and other ports. So we were in a desperate situation because by 2021, 2022, the debt service was going to be much higher than the total revenue that was being generated. So we would have had to actually look at the treasury for handouts to sustain the Ports Authority operation. Because that Hambantota thing is taken out, you can't say that it's because of that expenditure has decreased. Expenditure has decreased because of prudent management. And now there's no debt for the SLPA. That is why we were able to give bonuses and increase the wage of our workers, which will lead to further increases in productivity and industrial peace, which is very important in this operation because this is the heart of the economy. If there is no industrial peace in the ports, you won't have any exports and imports coming into the country. That's the end of the economy.
The minister also spoke about the financial progress of the Ports Authority between last year and the first quarter of this year.
Total revenue in 2017 was 10,553,000,000. In 2018, first quarter, it was 11,045,000,000.
The Chief Operating Officer of the Hambantota Port, Tissa Vikramasinghe, made comments on the 15 projects that are being reviewed with regards to the Hambantota Port.
Basically, we are concentrating on marine-related activities, which is starting from the basic ship handling services up to provision of sea marshals, bunkering. All those services are being provided even as at now, but we need to develop it. Right now, our marketing team is traveling around globally, trying to bring this business in. We have some proposals on the table, which of course we cannot discuss at this forum.
Proposals from Singapore investors and the local investors. Of course, we have proposals from China. At the moment, we can't give a very precise figure. I'm very confident it would be more than 100 million at the moment.
A Malaysian business delegation consisting of 5 members was hosted by the Board of Investments and briefed on the possibilities of investing in Sri Lanka. The 5-member delegation is headed by Dato Kulasegaram Sabaratnam, who is chairman of the Malaysia-Sri Lanka Business Chamber. The Malaysian team also participated at the Sri Lanka Investment and Business Conclave 2018, which commenced last Tuesday. Among the sectors of interest of the delegation were the possibility of manufacturing furniture, business process outsourcing, legal process outsourcing, and unit trust industry. Currently, there are an estimated 22 Malaysian enterprises in commercial operation in Sri Lanka under Section 16 of the BOI law and another 13 under Section 17. Issuing a statement regarding the National Consumer Price Index for the month of May, the Department of Census and Statistics say that the year-on-year inflation based on NCPI has been compiled as 2.1%. Quoting its Acting Director General S.G. Munasinghe, the Census and Statistics Department went on to emphasize that the inflation remained below 3% over the last 3 months. The Census and Statistics Department said that contributions to the inflation in May 2018 from food group was 0.02%, while non-food group contributed 2.05%. In the month of May last year, food group had contributed 4.6%, while non-food group by 2.5%, which had resulted in the headline inflation of 7.1%. When compared to month-on-month changes, NCPI in May this year has increased to 124.3 from 122.9 reported in April. This shows an increase of 1.4 index points, that is 1.1 percentage points in May as compared to April. The All-Share Price Index gained 0.18% to close at 6,229.06, edging higher from its lowest close since the 5th of April 2017 hit yesterday. Turnover stood at 416.2 million rupees, while below this year's daily average of 948 million rupees. We now have Imeshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange for a detailed report.
The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,909.84 billion rupees. Today's foreign purchases were 98.41 million rupees and foreign sales were 132.37 million rupees. There was one crossing today and the crossing turnover was 42.52 million rupees.
watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
US President Donald Trump yesterday slid down from his lofty heights, signing an executive order to stop child separation from illegal immigrants crossing the country's southern border. Pressure had been mounting on the move to separate children from their parents, with Trump's wife, First Lady Melania Trump, also expressing her displeasure over her husband's policy. Right groups have also been out in full voice against the zero-tolerance policy on illegal immigration, with 6 airlines refusing their services in transporting separated immigrant children.
US President Donald Trump came to power on the back of various radical promises, and one of which was the arrest of the issue of illegal immigrants entering the country. In line with it, he adopted a zero-tolerance policy where illegal immigrants entering the US from its southern border are separated from their children and then prosecuted. This move left hundreds of children corralled in temporary shelters away from their parents, facing a lengthy wait in processing, with some ending up in foster care. As for parents, some may be deported without their children and will have to go through a painstaking process of tracking their children down. This situation, what some activist groups have described as inhumane, led to a torrent of pressure on President Trump from international quarters, including Pope Francis, as well as from within his own family. Releasing a statement, First Lady Melania Trump recently expressed her displeasure over her husband's policy, saying she hates to see children separated from their families. All of it came to a crescendo yesterday, with the US president making a U-turn on his policy, ensuring that children will not be separated from their families.
We're keeping the family together, and so this is it. And also, there may be some litigation. We're also wanting to go through Congress. We will be going through Congress. We're working on a much more comprehensive bill. The borders are just as tough, just as strong. They can come in through ports of entry if they want. That's it.
Ivanka Trump showing photos of the children being separated from her.
No, Ivanka feels very strongly. My wife feels very strongly about it. I feel very strongly about it. I think anybody with a heart would feel very strongly about it. We don't like to see families separated. At the same time, we don't want people coming into our country illegally.
New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has given birth to her first child, becoming the second elected world leader to give birth while in office. Ardern, who became New Zealand's youngest Prime Minister when she took office through a coalition deal last year after an inconclusive election, is now a mother to a baby girl. Pakistan's Benazir Bhutto became the first elected leader to give birth while in office when she was Prime Minister in 1990. Both matches of Group C in the second round of matches in the FIFA World Cup got underway today, with a match between Denmark and Australia in a 1-1 draw. The other match between 1998 World Cup winners France and Peru is currently underway, with France leading at half-time 1-0 thanks to Kylian Mbappé's left-hand goal. The Group D encounter between Argentina and Croatia will also kick off in approximately 2 hours' time. Taking a glance at yesterday's matches, it was Portugal captain Cristiano Ronaldo who yet again grabbed the headlines as his side knocked Morocco out of the tournament.
Going into the match with Morocco, much was expected from the tournament's leading scorer and captain of Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo, following his hat-trick against Spain in their last outing. 4 minutes into the match, Ronaldo delivered a diving header to send the stadium into a frenzy. With the goal, he extended his goal tally to 4 at the tournament in his pursuit of the Golden Boot. That's as good as it got, and the match ended 1-0 to Portugal, knocking Morocco out of the World Cup. In Group B's other match, Spain was lucky to beat Iran 1-0 as the ball ricocheted off a clueless Diego Costa to register the only goal of the match and send Spain top of the group. In the day's other match, Luis Suarez scored the only goal of the match to earn a win for Uruguay against Saudi Arabia.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Sheila Fernando is at the Other Derana Weather Centre with your forecast first evening edition.
A very good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Your temperatures for tomorrow are to vary between 20 and 34 degrees Celsius, with the highest of 34 degrees Celsius expected in Batticaloa. Well, when looking at the map, a low pressure zone will develop along the coastal line from Mannar to Galle over the next 24 hours. Sunny weather is forecast in the areas of Jaffna, Mannar, Trincomalee and Batticaloa. In the areas of Vaunia, Kandy, Colombo, Galle and Matara as well as Hambantota, however, will experience some wet weather. That's all from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And that is it for Mother Derana First at 9 for tonight. But before we go, we'd like to leave you with visuals from Kalutara. Kalutara, the administrative capital of Kalutara district, is famous for the Kalutara temple and its beach, which attracts a large number of tourists annually. We hope you enjoy these visuals and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.